Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 53 units of real estate and I help coach people to buy their first multifamily deal. So today I want to talk about not putting all your eggs in one basket once you've built up a decent nest egg. So obviously to build your wealth, you have to kind of go all in into one thing. So for me, my all in was my W-2. I'm a high income W-2. Working as a pharmacist and moved up to pharmacy leadership. And then my second stream that I've built up over 8 years is real estate, where now I own about 53 units of real estate that cash flow about $8,000 to $10,000 a month. And obviously I have a lot of equity from my real estate and built up a $6 million plus net worth that is more than I ever thought I would, right? So I'm heavily concentrated into obviously my W-2, obviously through real estate, and my net worth is 80% real estate, 20% probably stocks and other assets. So now that I've built this nest egg, the game starts to pivot towards preserving your wealth. And it's a different game, right? And it's a game that I'm still learning to play. So for me, what looks like preserving my wealth is taking some chips off the table in terms of expenses. So for me, that would be potentially, selling a single family home, the first one I bought, paying, depreciation recapture tax at 25%, paying capital gains tax at, I think, up to 15%, and then paying additional taxes because I'm in California. So, whatever that looks like, if I had $800,000 of gain between depreciation recapture and long-term capital gains tax, and it might be like $200,000 that you pay, and if you include the realtor fees and closing costs, all that good stuff. So yes, it does suck. That's the price you have to pay for freedom. And then I use that money, I can pay off my primary residence, and now I'm free of a $5,000 per month mortgage. Like I said, that's the cost of freedom. It is having basically, you're wiping off your biggest expense, which is your mortgage. Now, if I were to build a business, and let's just say I do make enough money through my business where I can dump and pay my mortgage, I would, right? Then in that case, I wouldn't sell my first home. I just would use the money, if I made money through business actively, use that money to go pay off my primary and take chips off the table, right? So that would be the way to do it. So right now, the most feasible way for me is I sell my first single family home, use that to pay off my primary, or if in the next 5 years, if my business takes off and I make whatever, $3 million, $2 million, I would use that money not for my lifestyle, but to pay off my primary residence, right? So I'm hoping that becomes a reality for me so that I don't have to sell my first house and pay depreciation recapture and long-term capital gains tax, because the goal of real estate is to never have to sell, right? But instead you trade up via 1031 exchange. But for me, I'd only sell to take chips off the table, right? Like if I don't want to work W-2 anymore, I'd have to sell 2 properties, pay depreciation recapture on 2 properties, and pay long-term capital gains tax on 2 properties, and pay a bunch of fees and closing costs, which I prefer not to do. But if that's the price to my freedom, to have time freedom, then I'm willing to pay that price, right? It might be $300,000, $400,000 between the 2 properties, and that's the price to freedom. Yes, it sucks, but if I don't want to work a W-2 and I don't want to be tied to a job, that's the price I have to pay. So that's the worst case. Best case is I build a business that makes money so that it can pay off my primary residence and maybe pay off 2 of my apartment complexes, right? And that would take probably around $1.5 to $2 million of take-home income from a business, right? If I work my W-2, it's going to take me almost a decade to get there. So knowing that's the game, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build businesses for the next 5 years. I don't know what it is. Like right now I'm in coaching and mentorship, obviously not doing that great, but maybe I become a realtor. Maybe I start doing wholesaling real estate. Maybe I do something completely different, right? But the most tangential to me right now is wholesaling real estate and coaching. Those are probably, or becoming like a realtor and selling real estate. Like if I were to sell a property and I got a $30,000 commission check and kept half, 15K for basically taxes, I would take the other 15K and just throw it at my primary residence to pay it off, right? So that's the game. Or if I flip a piece of real estate and make money, whatever money I get after taxes, I'm gonna throw at my property. Maybe I will wholesale real estate and throw it at my property. If I do coaching, mentorship, or my YouTube blows up, I'll take that money and throw it at my property. So that's kind of my next goal, right? To do that. And then obviously if I take off my primary residence and I pay off my 2 apartments without having to touch any of my properties, that'd be the most ideal, right? I'd be cash flowing well and I'm doing great and I have an active business. Like I still don't mind working, I just don't want to be forced to show up to a 9 to 5, right? And I don't want to build myself a business where like it's too constrictive. Like I want to build a business around my lifestyle, right? And I guess you could argue that if I got a remote job or a hybrid, a remote job, like I could build a bit that could fit around my lifestyle, but remote jobs aren't going to pay as much as I'm getting paid right now. Could be a limiting belief, but that's just kind of my goal right now. So it's really, like I said, preserving that wealth, right? And the way to preserve your wealth is to lower your expenses significantly and then increase my emergency reserve, right? So like now, like when I buy real estate, maybe I'm putting larger down payments, right? Like right now I own a property cash that we just bought, my 53rd unit, and I'm gonna wait for it to be rented out. And my goal is to do my lazy burr method. So I'm gonna pull all my money, hopefully, right? I'll document my journey to you guys. If it really happens, I'll tell you what lender I used and how I did it, right? I'm fully transparent. But if I decide not to buy another deal, I just leave the money there and I'm gonna cash flow about $1,500 a month, which is a 7% return on my money because I own it free and clear. Whatever money I make, we're just gonna take that $1,500 and throw it at my primary residence as extra principal payments to pay it off faster, right? So like, as you can see, no matter what avenue I'm taking, I just want to pay off my primary residence as soon as possible, right? And I don't mind putting in, like me and Christine, like ask ChatGPT, what's the ideal amount I should make in addition to my mortgage payment as extra principal payments as the best return on investment? And they calculated out that $1,500 a month would probably lower my loan, reduce my loan payoff by about 8 to 10 years. And that's pretty good, right? Like 20 years is pretty good. So while I'm working, while I have income, it makes sense to do that. And I don't have to sell a property ideally. So that's you playing a different game when you're in preservation mode, right? Like you can just make very aggressive, larger down payments at steeper discounts, cash for more. And like I said, I still want to build an active business with outside of my W-2, right? So I've had my W-2, and thanks to my W-2 not spending much money, I was able to basically have money to invest in real estate. And now my passive income matches, or it's close to my active income, a little bit less, but it's probably, my passive income is as much as a regular pharmacy salary, not a pharmacy manager salary. And from there, it's really about now building up more active income to the point where it's outside my W-2, it's outside my real estate, and it's like maybe another business, right? So I've been doing that with social media. I've been doing that with coaching. Maybe do that becoming a realtor, as I said, a wholesaler. I don't know what it's going to look like, but now in the next 5 years, I want to focus on building active income, right, while doing my real estate. Because, like I said, if you see a lot of the big people like Pace Morby, Thatch and Win, they do both. They have massive active income. I think Thatch makes so much money from his coaching that he can use that money to go pay for his apartment complexes, right? And then Pace Morby, same thing. He has his coaching, he has a bunch of active business, and he uses that money to go buy more real estate. So you kind of have to do both. And I was too fixated on building passive income. But after I built passive income, now I want to build more active income. So, there's different ways to do it. I was so focused on passive income, and now that I have my passive income, I want to build more active income, right? That's higher potential than my current W-2 job. Because obviously my W-2, I'm limited, right? I'm limited. So that's really the mindset that I'm trying to have, is you want both, right? What side hustle business can you do that makes sense for you? And it has to be leveraged. So for me, I like social media. because you're building a personal brand. I don't expect to get that big with like coaching. I don't expect to get that big with this, but like who knows, right? Like maybe I build such a good personal brand when I want to become a realtor, maybe people reach out to me because they know I'm an investor and I'm a more investor friendly real estate agent, and my wife could be the more primary residence friendly real estate agent, because she's more about dealing with the emotions and that comes with primary residence home buyers, versus me, I'm more investor oriented. So it's all about doing both, and there's different seasons for both, right? Like I had a season where I just was W-2, had a season where I'm just buying real estate to build passive income, and now I'm in a season of building up more active income through business. So that's why I'm having shiny object syndrome to get RV parks, to do a car wash, right? But as I'm researching more and more, it's talking me out of it, right? Like I just found a deal for an RV park on LoopNet, and I just messaged a broker, and they gave me the financials, and it gave me PTSD of like managing my mobile home park, because the financials didn't look that great, right? Like there was no cash flow on that property. Like they were probably breaking even, to be honest. But obviously, if you manage it well and you run it well, the upside potential could be great, but you have to manage it well and do it well. So, it's, and on top of that, you have a loan on the property because the current owners, they own it free and clear. So of course they have more margins where they just need to make whatever, like $6,000 that month. But if you have a $3 million, if you're buying a $3 million and you got a loan on it, like that's gonna be cash flow negative. So you got to operate better than what they're doing, right? Same with car washes, right? Like, yeah, on paper or on YouTube, on social media, they'll say that, oh, you cash flow $45K net a month, but it's gonna take you time to get there. Things are gonna happen. It's gonna break down. There's gonna be other expenses, right? Like this is just uninformed optimism, speaking. So it's really about building a business. But I think what's core to building a business is having a personal brand. Like if you watch Alex Hormozy, which I do, it's building a personal brand and then basically making offers, right? And structuring your offers in a way where you make enough money up front so that it can pay for the next customer and then pay for the next customer. And if you have that money model, then you can scale infinitely, right? That's what Alex Hormozy specializes in. So, it sounds great on paper, but you have to execute it, right? And knowing that money models are not forever. So like I said, if I make any money through a business, I know that it's temporary. That's why I want to throw that extra money I have at my primary residence to pay that off, because I know that's guaranteed. So that's why I don't want a lifestyle inflate if I get to that point. So that's just kind of like the mindsets that I've been having about like preserving wealth, right? So like now I'm in this phase of like, I want to build active income so I don't have to do my W-2 anymore and do an active income job that like I don't hate, right? And that's not time dependent. Like, can I do my active income from Thailand? Can I do it from Vietnam? Can I do it remotely? Because if I want to travel, I want to travel, right? I'm very lifestyle oriented. Can I still run all that while being in overseas? Because I like that flexibility, right? Or can I have a team that can cover me while I'm traveling overseas? So these are things that I want to think about, right? I want to build the business around me, and I'm fortunate enough that I have a W-2 job right now, that I have passive income right now, and I'm mostly investing in areas where there's no overhead cost for me, so I can take risk, right, and have the long game, right? Social media to me is a long game, right? I've been doing it for 3 years. I have another 5 years to build this up into something that it doesn't need to produce me millions, but can it replace my pharmacist's income? That's good enough, right? I've passive income plus this can, like a regular pharmacist, like if my business can make like $120,000 to $150,000 a year gross, that's good enough for me, right? That's good enough for me after all the taxes advantages that you have as a business owner. That's good enough for me, if I'm being honest, right? Like, it doesn't need to be a million, but if it's $1 million, great. Like, I'll take that and pay off my primary residence. So that's really what it is, right? And I can afford to take these like baby steps. And right now I can afford to take some risk, right? Like shiny object syndrome into oil and gas. And Eckhart Enterprise emailed me, and I was just like, hey, like, let me talk to some of your investors who are currently actively investing right now. And then they're just like, yeah, let me talk to a few investors and see who we can get. And he's like, well, what do you work in? I'm like, I work in healthcare and I work in real estate. So they're going to try to connect me with a guy who maybe they do healthcare, maybe they do real estate, and we can talk. Because I want to see how their money is doing, how their investment is doing. Like, you know, I want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. So, you know, if they bring me somebody, it shows they're transparent. So hopefully they get me a few people that I can talk to really vet them. Because, right, like I want to make sure that my money is put to good use. Like, if the oil wells is legit, great. You know, it's easy money, right? At that point, geez, like, put $100,000 down, you get tax write-off $100,000, so you get immediately $35,000 in tax, whatever refund when you file your taxes. And then if it truly produces a 35% cash-to-cash return after 1 year, Jesus Christ, sign me up, right? Like, I would, that's what, $3K a month. That's $35K a year, $3K a month. Well, with a $100,000 investment, I just would put $300,000 in, if it works, make $9K a month, and then I just would continue to work, and I would take this $9K a month and literally just throw it at my primary residence to pay it off as soon as possible. So I wouldn't even live off that money. I just would take that money and dump it into my primary residence to pay it off. So that's true. Like I said, I'll put $300,000 in, and then that's $9K a month, right? But that's probably just rosy. So I need to talk to people and do it. But hey, even if it makes me a 15-20% return on my money, I'll take that and just throw the money at my primary residence as well. So I'm focused on something that's like more cash heavy, that's more cash focused right now. So, you know, it's just kind of that ironic catch-22 of like, you make more money teaching people how to do something versus doing the actual thing, right? Like that's the most ironic thing that you have. Like, if you look at Thatch, if you look at like Pace Morby, like, they probably make more money like selling courses and coaching than they do their business, or maybe not, right? But like, it's just a way to get quick cash and liquid cash to use that to go buy more assets. So that's kind of the game you have to play. So like, what's that active business that you're doing that will allow you to buy more real estate, to buy more passive income? And like I said, I don't need to become a billionaire. I don't need to be worth 100 million even. I just need to be comfortable and lifestyle oriented, right? Like, I'm okay living upper middle or middle upper class lifestyle. And like, to me, that's like a paid off house and probably about 15 to 20,000 bucks a month. Like, if I have a paid off house and 20,000 bucks a month conservatively, that's a very lavish lifestyle, right? So that's, I said, minimal is about 15K, I would say. Because, you know, I live in LA, it's a little more expensive here. And yeah, we want to travel, and eventually we'll have a family of 4 one day. So yeah, you need money to do all that. So it's kind of what we're thinking about doing, and how we're going to pivot. So, you know, it's really about that that mindset. So, you know, it's about preserving that wealth and then pivoting towards lifestyle. So that's kind of like the moral of the story of this. Sorry for the long rant. Getting used to like this car driving while I'm talking. But if you want to get some one-on-one coaching, you want mentorship, you want to join my school community for free, there's a free trial. Click on my link tree down below. Also a link to my email on my link tree. Otherwise, please let me know what questions you have. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you next one. And thank you so much.